So this is a podcast where we talk about a wide variety of different subjects, from pornography to our Netflix recommendations, which is what we're actually talking about today. So in other words, we talk about all the things.
So this week, the local brand that we want to promote, you can also find them on Instagram at Stay Safe, Stay Positive, and they basically make very affordable masks. And I know everyone is selling masks, but you should definitely check them out. Wonderful.
Imagine we were making this like 2 years ago and we were promoting masks. Bizarre.
Although, like in Asian
Yeah,
countries,
it's a
that was
common
like the
practice.
fashion. So this was like,
I know.
they were time. They're like, I've been telling you all these years.
Yeah. Finally, you guys wake up.
Anyways, you should check them out.
Cool. So today, as I said before, we're talking about our Netflix recommendations.
Yes.
We're giving you advice on what to binge. Everybody needs that, I feel. You know, sometimes you get bored and you just need to sit down and watch a heck load of Netflix.
And I thought this is a good episode because I see on people's stories all the time, like, what should I watch?
Yeah.
Like Netflix recommendations, like even celebrities.
Yes.
And I'm like, you work in the business, don't you know it's good? So I just thought it'd be a really cool episode, especially because we've been doing a lot of like
Heavy stuff.
yes,
I
and
agree.
there's more of that to come in the future. So
Yeah,
just-
don't you worry.
yes, consider this
A break.
a break.
But you still have to listen to it. You're not
Yes.
excused.
We're not sponsored by Netflix or any of these things.
Exactly. Okay.
Although if they want to sponsor us,
We won't mind.
hit us up.
So shall we first speak about things that we don't recommend?
Yes.
Okay.
We just want to say as well, we're not like criticizing anyone's art.
Not at
or,
all.
Like, people have their opinions, so these
Yeah.
are just ours.
Cool. Do you want to start?
Yes. So the first thing, and these are just specifically things that have been hyped up, and I don't get it.
Yeah.
So the first one was, and I'm so sorry, Shonda Rhimes, because I literally think she's the best and she's wonderful. But How to Get Away with Murder, I watched the first season, and first of all, like, there was just a lot of like unnecessary stuff, like especially like the sex scenes in the first 3 episodes. I'm like let's just get to the storyline. And yeah, I don't know, it just dragged on and on and on, and the fact that they like have so many more seasons, I'm like, what more?
Yeah, what more can you do?
So I just found it, I don't know,
Yeah,
not my vibe.
I get you. I think one of the shows that I was quite disappointed in was Space Force.
Okay.
And I was looking forward to it because it has Steve Carell and he's funny, you
I
know.
love it.
And it just genuinely could be like quite a good idea. It also had Lisa Kudrow from Friends. And it just didn't like quite live up to it, like the
Yeah.
expectations. It wasn't as funny and it was kind of slow moving. So I was like, I mean, it's not like I wouldn't recommend it. It's just I wouldn't
recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
Like you won't be ruined if you watch it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the next season will be better.
Has there only been 1 season so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the next one, I enjoy like crime and legal stuff, and this actually was like an award-winning show, and I've always been very fascinated by the case of like O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
And so it was The People versus O.J. Simpson, and I don't know, I just found it, as I was watching it, it was almost like over dramatized.
Yeah.
And I just didn't enjoy the way it was filmed. I like struggled to actually just sit and watch the first episode. Like I felt just distracted by, like, there was just so much going on, and it was just a bit over the top, so that was bleak.
Yeah, I've heard not good things, but I've heard a lot about that, so it's kind of sad that it wasn't as good. But anyway, another thing I wouldn't recommend is Tiny Pretty Things. So that is...
The trailer looked so good. I was so ready.
I know, and like, this is the thing, right? I love dancing. I used to do ballet. So I was like, this seems like a really cool program. And listen, I watched the whole thing anyway because I didn't have anything else to watch. I had no internet, and that was a series that I downloaded. So I just watched it all. And it's very dramatic. If you like drama and you like silly drama, then that's perfect for you. The acting wasn't that great, and also unnecessary sex scenes, like completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And so I was like, but I still watched it. So
Yeah.
obviously didn't hate it that much.
But not top of your list.
Not top, no.
Got it. Then another one, Riverdale.
Yeah.
So I watched the first season, And again, it was one of those shows where I'm like, what more? Like,
Yeah.
I just found it so unrealistic
Yeah.
and so like teenagey. And the thing is, like, it's a very big show,
Yes.
and it's kind of one of those shows where I'm like, what more? Like, this is just, I felt the same way about like Pretty Little Lies.
Yeah.
There has to be some depth to a character, even if it's a teenage drama. And there was just,
I've seen too many cringy scenes from that show, and I more or less watched the first season because my brother was watching it, so I was like, eh. And it was like kind of okay, but I think I read the Archie comics, like
they're nothing like the comics.
nothing like it. They just have, it's just the same town and the same characters. And so I was like, when I heard that they were making a series called Riverdale, I was like, well, this is going to be cool, because I mean, I read literally all of them when I was a child, and then I saw that it was just nothing like it, so I was like, why didn't she just call it something different and not get anyone's hopes up? But anyway,
Yeah, I get you.
another thing that I was quite disappointed in was Sierra Burgess is a Loser. I think that's what it's called.
Yes, we watched it together.
Yeah, that one, like, okay, it was very aesthetic, I feel. I don't know. Like, it looked nice.
Yes.
And it could have been nice, but the overall message was just not a good one. Like,
Not at all.
first of all, she catfishes a guy and she, like, bullies her friend.
Do you want to tell all the old people what catfish means?
Catfish is when you pretend to be someone that you're not online.
Yes.
It's funny because old people are often the ones who get the most tricked out by that. But anyway, so she does that, and then they just like forgive her because she says, oh, nobody loves me because I'm fat, and she doesn't even like try to make any difference within herself.
Yeah.
You know, like she just gets the guy in the end, and then she
Yeah,
always all of a
there's
sudden feels
no,
better.
Like, personal growth at
I
all.
know, it was just so disappointing.
And it ends where it's kind of like, I got the guy, so that's
Everything's
like
good
my
now.
fulfillment in life.
Yeah. Which is so disappointing.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want teens watching that.
Yeah.
Doesn't send a good message.
I agree.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, then isn't it romantic? So I'm
Yeah.
a rom-com making fun of rom-coms.
Yeah.
Rebel Wilson is hilarious. Hemsworth is beautiful. Like, this is going to be a good movie. And
Yeah.
it was very average.
It
Like,
was quite average.
I didn't find it funny, and it was like, if I hadn't finished the movie, it would have been okay. Like,
I get you.
halfway through, I was like, I'm over
Yeah,
this.
it had a lot of potential. I agree. And then the next one that I don't recommend and I didn't enjoy is 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
I watched the first season. I'd also read the book before, and we spoke a little bit about this in our episode on death.
Yes.
So go check that out. And we say pretty much everything we don't
Yes.
like about it in there, but basically glamorizes suicide. It's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a good
blaming
message.
people for taking your life. Again,
Exactly.
I'm not for that.
Yeah. And also one that I didn't like was Bird Box, and that was really hyped up and it was just really average. And I mean, I love Sandra Bullock,
I do as well.
but the thing
it's
is, it
also not
wasn't
her
scary.
genre.
It wasn't like scary. It started off being scary and then it wasn't.
Literally the only thing I know about that movie is the blindfolds. And that's all I know. Yeah.
But yeah, those are all of my non-recommendations.
Yes. So if you're thinking of watching those, don't put them at the top of your list.
Yeah.
In our opinion. If you love them,
good for you.
yes.
You're a better person than I am.
Okay. So we have way more
Recommendations. Yes.
And also both of us, when we were going through like what we've watched, we were like, shoot, we've watched way more TV than I think.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I
had
don't even have
expected.
like everything down here, but we just like to watch things.
Also, like, I'm like, how have I had this much time?
I know.
Anyways, there's nothing wrong with a good TV show to relax.
Agreed.
Just don't do it every day of your life as your life.
Yes. Okay, so our first recommendations are,
Yes.
you're going to start with that.
Yes, and I think we'll start with TV series.
Yes.
And then we'll go to movies.
Cool.
So the reason I actually wanted to mention this first is when you're deciding what to watch, I'm like very pro age restriction. So like, if you're not at the age yet, just like,
Yeah.
just wait. You
Yeah.
know, it's there's a reason like there are age restrictions.
Yeah.
And even though like I'm 22 now, I will very seldom watch anything over 16. In fact, most of what I watch is like PG-13. Although I don't know about this PG anymore.
Yeah.
I see stuff, I'm like, ooh.
Are you sure?
But I often think like what we consume, I don't think we realize how much it actually affects us.
Yeah.
So if something in a TV show makes you uncomfortable or you just don't feel right about it, just rather like switch it off.
I completely agree.
If you feel like it's not sending like a message that you necessarily support, like just be careful. And one of these series is Suits. Now, I'm not knocking Suits because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm like a huge fan of the cast.
Yeah.
Like I loved Meghan Markle before she
Meghan
was like
Markle.
a duchess.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoyed it. The one thing is they swear quite a bit. It's just like part of their natural language.
Yeah.
And it's not like harsh or crude. Like the show isn't like that at all. But it's just like it's used in very common conversation. And I watched this when I was quite young. I think I started watching it when I was like 14 or 15. Because I thoroughly enjoyed like the legal, like I just was very...
She wanted to be a lawyer.
I did want to be a lawyer. I would be such a good lawyer. But now I'm going to be a pastor.
You can still argue with people, it's fine.
I do it every day. So at the art, I realized I started swearing around that time and no one else around me swore. And then I realized, wow, like I've been watching Suits and that's the only place I'm hearing it. And now I'm seeing it in my own life. So just be careful what you consume because it affects you more than you realize.
Definitely. Cool.
So yeah, but I would still recommend Suits if you're into like legal kind of stuff.
Cool. And our next recommendation is The Office. And I watched this, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously loved it. I'm a very kind of dry humor girl. So obviously I love The Office. The characters are wonderful. You got like Michael Scott, who's a complete idiot, but he has good intentions, but shame. And then you get like the romance, you know.
Yes.
Jim and Pam. Love them. And overall just hilarious casting and hilarious scripting, and it's just brilliant.
Yes, I agree. I think so for the longest time I was like, I'm not gonna watch this. This whole idea of a mockumentary, like it's filmed like a documentary but it's fiction. For me, I was like, I am not for that. I won't enjoy something like that. And then I watched it, guys. It's what I'm currently binging. And it's so nice. It's just like a 20-minute episode here and there.
Yeah.
Love that. But I really would recommend that you give it a try. What's nice is that I feel like there are little pockets of humor for everyone.
100%.
So sometimes I'll be watching it and my brother will walk like past the TV or he'll be playing with his cars. Like I wouldn't recommend like kids watch it and you would never want to sit and watch it.
You wouldn't fully understand it if you're very young.
But there's like hilarious things like Michael Scott walks in and he's dressed as Willy Wonka, or they're just like acting like idiots and jumping on desks and being foolish. So there's like silly things for everyone. Also they really play into stereotypes, but in a good way where it is humorous. So I really enjoy The Office.
I would be very disappointed if you didn't.
We wouldn't be friends.
Okay, our next one, New Girl.
Who's that girl?
It's Jess. And if you haven't watched New Girl, you're really missing out. Also, very funny characters. It's like, it's probably like almost similar to like Friends and like How I Met Your Mother in the sense that it's a group of friends living in a city together, doing the things, but they're all just so incredibly quirky and weird. And
I think like the main character Jess, I love her. Like she's just so like airy fairy. And
I like Zooey
Deschanel
though.
I feel like they're the same person, like in real life and in the TV show. Also, again, they kind of break stereotypes, which I like.
I also like it.
Schmidt is like
so flamboyant,
and he talks like in a certain way, and he wears what is he called? The robe.
A kimono, but what is he?
A kimono. He calls it his kimono. So I would highly recommend it. The only thing is that the humor is incredibly sexual.
Yes, it is sexual.
Like always, like almost every episode. So if that's gonna bug you, then like it's probably not for you. But like overall, like it's an incredible likable cast.
Agreed. And then Dawson's Creek.
Yes.
I'm still busy watching Dawson's Creek.
That's okay.
It's okay. It's taken me a while, and I've watched things in between it as well.
Yes.
But Zara's just recently finished watching it all.
Yes. So I watched Dawson's Creek because everyone always says it's the one reel before one reel. And again, it's a typical teen drama. So it's kind of like, oh, why would you want to watch that? The two reasons why I would choose that over like a more modern teen drama is that 90s, early 2000s vibe.
Yeah, it's
like,
the feel.
It's just like you feel like you're in that time, and they're not dressing so well, but you love it.
Yeah.
Also, what I find has changed, like the older shows versus the newer shows, is they actually spend time in dialogue.
Yeah,
like,
the dialogue is very like advanced.
Yes.
No high schooler speaks like that.
No.
But I enjoy it.
Except, I mean, you spoke like that in high school.
Maybe. I just say like too many times.
That too. And
Yeah.
So, no, I think, what I liked about that is that every episode you have to open your dictionary, number one. Also, if you're into like the typical like very lovey-dovey, because it's basically all about relationships, let's be real. Like they do touch on like other things like mental health and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're into like the typical like romancy stuff, you'll enjoy that.
Indeed. Bridgerton.
Ooh, okay.
Everyone's been watching Bridgerton.
Yes,
okay.
It's now officially the biggest Netflix show.
Yes.
It's been watched by,
it's crazy.
A lot of households.
So if you haven't watched Bridgerton, you're honestly living under a rock. I don't like.
Surely you've heard of it.
Surely, but so basically, it's historical fiction. I think is what they would call it. What I like about it is like the aesthetics. You know, it's beautiful.
Yes.
The cast is beautiful as well, which I love. The music is beautiful, and it's kind of also got that what's it called, like enemies to lovers kind of vibe going for it. And also the first 5 episodes, it's really like innocent,
very sweet. Like, guys, I
was watching it with my mom and my gran. So
yes, I was watching with my mom, and listen, I am not into like, I can't do like purely like it's all about the romance, even though we just spoke about Dawson's Creek.
But it's not all about the romance.
Yes, and it's like, it's not my vibe. But also I think even just watching Hamilton and starting to be very fascinated with like the time, I was like,
it is a similar time. It's very similar.
Yes. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's very fascinating to me, like seeing how little women knew at the time, like, and how men kind of ruled the society. But the show also like hints at like that wasn't right. But like they play, that's just how it was. Yes, and they play on both those sides of like the very feminine side of women, but also the fact that they are not stupid. They're still intellectual and have a place in society. Also,
not only like do they have their place, but it's also like women kind of make the world go round in that sense.
Big time.
Like they are really in charge. Like the men might be in charge, but it's really the woman, you know.
Yes.
But my advice is rather watch episode 6 alone. Because
here's the thing.
I felt very uncomfortable.
I spoke to Danielle. She'd already finished watching it. I was like at episode 4. And for me, I was like, the fact that you can create this incredible sexual tension by people just holding hands. I was like, first of all, that is like incredible acting. Second of all, that is like so
cute.
Worthy. And she was like, no, just wait.
Yeah, it's not always innocent. But I mean, at least they married in the show, right? Anyway.
So basically what we're saying is the sex scenes in episode 6 are... They're hectic. I would say, here's the thing about sex scenes. I just generally don't enjoy them because I'm just like...
I can watch violence and I can watch all those things literally without even worrying about it. But especially when there's intimate sex scenes, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be watching this.
I know. So that's the thing. The thing with those scenes that I was like, okay, I understand, because it
does further the plot.
It furthers the plot. You might not think that a sex scene is important, but in the show, you'll see. I don't want to give anything away, but it like aids the storyline.
Yes, it does.
At the same time, like if you want to sit with your remote and forward through them, that's okay.
That's okay too.
Or just like read the synopsis on episode 6. Listen, if you're just easily triggered, and you know that you shouldn't be watching that stuff, then don't.
Yeah.
And if you're young, definitely not. But if you're watching with a parent, just prepare for the awkwardness that's gonna come.
It's okay. Cool.
But yeah, it was worth a watch. I enjoyed it.
I agree. How I Met Your Mother.
Oh,
This is also a classic if you haven't watched it.
Yes.
And I think Friends for me will go along with this. Like if
Yes.
you haven't watched those two, what are you doing?
And people, there's this war between like what's better, and if
Yeah.
you like the one, you can't like the other.
You
I
can
like
enjoy both. Why do we have to choose,
Yeah.
you know? And we don't need to go too much into that because I'm sure most people would have watched or at
it.
least heard of it.
Yes.
Only thing I don't like about it is just like Barney's stupid humor, and he's just so
Yeah,
mean.
He can be, and
But I
he's
also do like
very-
him, so
I also like him. He's very misogynistic though, and he objectifies women like it's
yeah.
his job.
But also like his friends don't really do anything about it, which I also
Find really strange
Yeah.
knowing their character. But also, that if you want to like actually interact with us, what did you think of the ending of How I Met Your Mother? 'Cause
yes.
that is like
please tell us.
the controversy of the
yeah, Zara didn't mind
21st
it.
century. I didn't mind it. I kind of was like, okay,
I was
it.
disappointed
Yeah.
because, well, if you know, you know.
Yes. So
Anyway.
go watch it and let us know.
Yeah. You want to go into our planet?
Yes. So this is something when I was younger, I watched the National Geographic channel, and as I got older, I never did. And then I was like, you know what possessed me to click play on this show? I don't know. I think it was just the fact that good old David was narrating.
David. Yeah.
Love him. And it was so interesting. Basically, it's just like looking at different ecosystems
Yeah.
every episode, and it's just like I had to Google whether the cinematography was like computerized because the footage was so beautiful. And then I was like, no, they filmed this over many moons, and
Amazing.
it's so stunning. Like I stepped away and I was like, wow, Lord, you created all this, and it
so
is
beautiful.
so beautiful. And also every episode he kind of tells us like, this is how you're damaging this beautiful world, so
Yeah.
you better like
Sort yourself out.
So I really would recommend it. Like even if it's not your thing, like once you start watching it, you're like, wow, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
It's good to know those things.
yes.
Okay, and then lastly for both of our recommendations, we have Snowpiercer.
Yes.
We have already spoken about Snowpiercer.
In our episode on our favorite things, you should check that out.
Indeed, and we will speak about it in another episode at some
Yes.
point.
So yeah, we won't go into it. Just we do want to do a full episode on it. So this is like your notification to
Exactly.
get watching.
And it's so good.
It is good.
All right, and then I have some other series recommendations.
Yes.
So,
Tell me about them,
I will.
Danielle.
okay, so now these things I kind of associate with the Office kind of humor. So these are shows like Parks and Recreation, Schitt's Creek, Community, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place, even Modern Family is a bit similar to it. I love all of those shows, like absolutely all of them. Parks and Recreation is on South African Netflix now, and it is brilliant. It's got a young Chris Pratt. Love them. And yeah, definitely go check that out. And it's, I don't know, some people think that it is funnier than The Office, but like for me, I prefer The Office just in the sense that it's more real, but I
Yes.
also love Parks and Recreation because it's like sillier even.
Okay. Wow.
I know,
Is that
but
possible?
I love it. Schitt's Creek, someone actually wanted us to give our opinion on Schitt's Creek.
Yes.
I love the show. So basically it's
They
about,
won a ton of awards.
yeah, it's very clever. It's about it's a very rich family who basically goes bankrupt, but the father had bought this very like old, ugly kind of town called Schitt's Creek
He
for his
bought the
son.
town.
Yes,
Oh.
but he couldn't sell the town for many reasons, and it's basically they have to go and live in that town, and it's very clever. It has great humor, great characters, and they all just talk very funny. Like if you have watched Schitt's Creek, you know Moira, the mother, is hilarious. She says every word in a different accent, pretty much.
Oh.
And she says baby like bebe. Oh, it's so good.
Ooh.
Anyway, and then the others, Community, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, all of those are classics. You need to go watch them.
I still haven't watched any
And
of these guys.
If you haven't watched The Good
Someone else.
Place, that's also a good one.
My friend Sam recommended that to
Oh,
me.
it's so good because it kind of starts out with, like, so basically it happens, this woman dies and she goes to the afterlife
Which is
and The Good Place. And I can't really tell you much more about what goes on there because it'll be a spoiler. But it kind of starts off as this very silly comedy show, but it also goes into this philosophical show where they speak about how you can never truly be ethical under capitalism. You know, that kind of vibe,
Wow,
like how difficult it
yes.
is to be a good person when you have to like buy all of these things which supports all of these like bad industries as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So yeah.
Feeling it. Okay. Then one I will recommend on the very opposite spectrum of what Danielle spoke about is Mindhunter.
Ooh.
To be
Jonathan
honest,
Groff.
that man. I've spoken about him in so many episodes. I just love Jonathan Groff, guys. But this is personally, if you aren't like at least 16, I wouldn't watch it.
I have yet to watch it.
So basically, what it's about is it's the FBI during the 1970s. It's based off a real FBI agent, and basically, it's during the time where the psychology of serial killers was being studied for the first time. So before then, they just thought that serial killers were like very random, and they hadn't started like studying the psychology behind it. And so it was during the time where the phrase serial killer was coined for the first time.
Wow.
And what's nice is basically
so nice.
They interview all of these serial killers, like while they've been caught and they're in jail. They interview them. So it's not like a crime show where they're catching criminals because the criminals have already been caught. It's every episode or couple of episodes focuses on a serial killer that is actually existed in real life. What I'm incredibly impressed with is the actors. Like, you watch interviews alongside the actual serial killer, and it's amazing.
Crazy.
Like how well of a job they do.
Yeah.
But it's basically just understanding the mind of a criminal, like why serial killers do what they do, how their brains are just wired differently, the influences, like how does someone reach that point? Again, it is just incredibly heavy, not graphic in the sense of like seeing, but just graphic in what you're hearing. Incredibly crude, not on the side of the detectives, more so on the side of like these killers, but it's also realistic, so that's why I was quote unquote okay with it. But yeah, it's not, I wouldn't recommend you binge it, because I would watch like one episode and I'd have to actually just take a break. But
Take a break.
the reason I would recommend it is just it's incredibly fascinating.
All right, so I do have a few more recommendations because I've just watched so many things that I love. But, okay, firstly, Anne with an E is probably one of my favorite series I've watched on Netflix.
I actually saw the trailer and I was like, this looks boring.
No, it's brilliant. It's so good. So it's based on Anne of Green Gables, those books. I haven't read the books, but anyway. Basically, it's about this girl who's an orphan and she gets adopted by a brother and a sister. And it's basically about her whole story. It deals quite a lot like with PTSD and all of those kinds of things. And it also has a slow burn romance, which I love. It's beautiful to watch and it's very heartwarming. It's very pure, I would say.
Yeah.
So that's what I really liked about it.
Wholesome.
It's very wholesome. So I love that. And then you have one more recommendation?
My last one it's called Unbelievable. I find it unbelievable that it's not like one of the top recommends. Like it was one of those nights where it's like I've been looking for something to watch for so long that it's like I might as well go to bed.
Yeah.
So, but I found it's called Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I know. And it's a mini series which I always enjoy. I enjoy like those mini series. And it's based on a true story about this girl who was raped, and the police didn't believe her. And it's so sad because it's such a reality, and it just shows like how people can influence your mind and make you feel like you're crazy. So it's basically like she just goes on with her life, and then I think it's like 4 years later or 6 years later, I don't know, these two cops from different districts meet each other and they're like, wait, we could be dealing with the same killer. And they realize, not killer, rapist. And they realize, wow, like they sort of put the pieces together, and it's like, wow, this has been the same rapist. And that happens in real life. Like, police departments don't talk to each other, which I find the strangest thing, because
so dumb.
It makes it so easy, like just traveling from one district to another. Like, what the heck?
So silly.
But it's very, very good, very sad.
I must also give that a watch.
You really do.
And then, okay, I'm just going to list some of the things that I love.
Yes.
Queen's Gambit. I've already spoken about that on our favorites episode. If you haven't watched that, Sarah.
I'm sorry. I
You are
watched the first
missing
episode,
out.
okay.
And then The Crown. I am probably quite anti-monarch in general.
Interesting.
Because they're dumb. But anyway, I love The Crown. And I feel like a lot of people have watched the new series, the new season, because it has Diana. And in that case, definitely go watch some of the early ones. I also love season 1 and season 2 because I enjoy the actors there, probably a bit more than I enjoy in the latter seasons. But they're all brilliant and very clever. And the next one is When They See Us. This was a limited series on Netflix, and it's only 4 episodes. It is about the Central Park 5, which is basically 5 Black American teenage boys who were wrongfully accused of raping a woman in Central Park. And there was no evidence to suggest that they had done it, but they were literally accused because they're black. And you might be thinking like, oh, it happened ages ago, so like things have changed. No, people, especially black people in America, and it happens here as well, but you're accused and you're put in jail for no good reason other than your skin color. And that is not a good reason. But yeah, it's about that. It's very difficult to watch, but I feel like it is very important to learn about racism especially. And then another one that I really enjoyed, also a limited series, was Unorthodox, and that is about Orthodox Jewish girl who basically breaks free from that environment. I mean, I don't know how accurate it is in its portrayal of the Orthodox Jewish community, but I solidly enjoyed it. We watched it like in one night. It was very good. And then lastly, Stranger Things and Lock and Key.
Yes. I don't think that would be my vibe.
What, Stranger Things?
Yeah.
I think you might enjoy it.
Really?
It's very good.
It looks really strange.
No wonder. That was a weird noise that I just made. But anyway, Stranger Things is brilliant. Lock and Key is also very good. I would recommend both of those. And also Peaky Blinders. I'm sure most people have seen Peaky Blinders.
I have not.
I really enjoyed it.
But yes, that's been recommended to me as well.
Yes.
Okay, I think those are all our
series
recommends. Let us know what you think of these shows and what you're also watching.
Yeah, please.
No, y'all.
Cool.
Movies.
So
we don't have that many.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, I've seen a lot of good movies on Netflix. Netflix has put out a lot of good originals, especially last year. And we're not gonna go into all of those. Basically, I don't know, just ask me. I'll tell you my opinion.
Yes.
So the 3 that we want to speak about is The Notebook, Bridget Jones's Diary, and Bridesmaids. And you might be thinking like, why those ones? And it's because we love them.
We do. I will say again, Bridesmaids humor,
yes,
a bit risque.
Oh yeah,
but
it's still funny.
The cast, phenomenal.
Yes.
And The Notebook, it's
The Notebook.
Yeah, and of all the Nicholas Sparks movies, that one has my heart the most because my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and I'm like, oh, it's beautiful.
Yes.
And Bridget Jones' Diary.
It's funny.
Yes.
I love Renee Zellweger as well.
I also do.
Yeah. And us also, sorry, I just thought because I recently watched this movie, The Dig, on Netflix.
Never heard of it.
It just came out. It's very good. Like, it's basically, what's about this excavator goes to this woman's house and they discover like this whole thing, and this was just before World War II, but like this was a part of history that I literally did not know about ever. It was so interesting.
How sad they were learning history on TV.
Wow. It was so good. And it has Lily James and Carey Mulligan, and both of them are really nice, and I like both of them. Yes. Cool. And then don't really have any more movies to talk about.
I think the one that I also would say is a classic, Just Go With It.
Oh, I love Just Go With It.
What I love about it is that there's something for everyone, so it's a nice family movie.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Aniston, that's all I have to say. And Adam Sandler. That's all I have to say.
Adam. Okay. And then there were just 3 other things that I wanted to talk about.
Because people asked us to speak about it. Thank you for those 3 people.
Exactly. So, firstly, Euphoria.
These are not on Netflix, by the way.
You can find this on Showmax, though. I watched Euphoria, I think, in 2018, and I solidly enjoyed it. However, like, there are, like, it's quite dark, and you're dealing with, like, things like addiction, suicide, just general mental illness, drugs, nudity. So it's definitely not something for young people, and, like, if you're not in a good place in your mind, I think it can like
Play
into
more.
that. So just be careful of that. But the acting is very good, and it's quite an interesting take. The thing is, like, it's a portrayal of teenagers, but none of the actors are teenagers, obviously. But they describe it kind of like it's a teenage series, but for adults, because they deal with such mature themes.
Yeah, so it's not like a Gossip Girl.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I don't think I'll like watch it a second time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Zendaya is just brilliant.
I love Zendaya.
And then Harry Potter.
Yes.
I don't know where you can watch this apart from like DVDs.
I have the DVDs.
Yeah.
So they probably asked because of
the Christian thing with Harry Potter.
Yes.
So I don't know. Christians have kind of gone on like a crusade against Harry Potter, especially when it came out, and acting as if it was this really demonic kind of series. And I mean, some people have gotten convictions not to watch it. So I say very well, listen to your convictions. Yes. However, it is quite innocent, I would say.
Versus what's coming out now.
100%. And the thing is, like, the thing that will never make sense to me is that they'll be fine with things like Narnia or Lord of the Rings or something like that, which both deal with magic, just because it's more Christian.
Because it was written by Christian authors.
Then it means it's okay. Like, it's no different. Magic is magic, you know? Yes. And I love all three of those things that I just mentioned. Yes. I love Harry Potter as well. It's very feel good, I feel.
Yes. It's nice to see kids grow up.
Exactly.
You literally see them from when they're like 11. Mm. And yeah, I think the storyline, again, it's your typical like good versus evil and the good wins. Yeah. So, and in terms of the witchcraft, it's not like...
It's not real.
Yeah, and it's not like causing you to like worship Satan.
Yeah.
I promise.
And I know, like, I don't know, my mom's... When I first started reading it and watching it, she said, oh, but apparently these are like real spells, but they're not. They're literally just Latin words that mean exactly what they're doing. Yes. So take that into consideration. Obviously, if you feel like it's not right, then don't watch it. Yes. And then lastly, the series I want to talk about is Fleabag. So you can watch this on Amazon Prime Video, or you can download it illegally.
Don't do that.
But I'm not suggesting it. But and this is basically about this woman, a British woman, and she's dealing also with a bunch of trauma, like her best friend has died, and it's very funny. It's like typical British humor. It is also quite crude because she is kind of sex obsessed, but it is so clever, and she breaks the fourth wall a lot. It's the fourth wall, yes, which I love. Like,
interact with
the audience. So I would recommend it unless you do not like watching sexual humor, then do not watch it. Yes. But otherwise, yes, do watch it.
Yes. And guys, if you're younger, watch Disney. I love Disney.
Love Disney.
Finding Nemo, Shrek 2,
and I mean, Netflix does
Beauty
have
and the Beast,
like
so much good kids content.
They do.
Yes.
And you can search for that.
Yes.
And you'll be fine.
Yes.
Cool.
So now you literally have
so much
to watch. I hope this was helpful. What you can do is when it's a Friday night and you switch on YouTube and you don't know what to watch, just listen to this podcast.
So clever.
Yes.
Cool. Sure. Thank you to everyone who is listening and watching on YouTube.
Yes.
And remember to like and subscribe.
Yes,
and
guys.
Share,
get
please.
Our content out there. And also a shout out to Artistic Memes.
Yes.
I love our cover art still. I look at it and I'm like, wow, how did she do that? She's amazing. Find her on Instagram.